Okay, so right here we have a can, and I'm about to crush it. You want to crinkle it up so you can get some nice little angles, and you want to go with the side that has the most detail to it. And right now I'm saying put the can vertically to the left and put it horizontally to the right. So I'm going to write vertical on top. And the video you're watching is going 3.5 times faster than when I was drawing. It's time lapsed. So right now I'm starting off with the edge of the can, and I'm kind of just guesstimating my width, indicating that's why it's kept light. I'm looking at the landmark. So my landmark's going to be the upper left hand side of the can, and it's where the top of the can that you're seeing at an angle, so it's elliptical, is meeting that little bump or that curve that comes outside the top of the can. And the thing to keep in mind is everything's going to be distorted because it's crooked. And what I'm doing is I'm starting my outline, and I do indicate some of my landmarks because my landmarks are going to help me with that outline. Um, in our earlier lesson plans, we're talking about how important it was to draw your outline, and you still can put little markers in so you can see your proportions and scales, or if there's anything identifiable that's easy to see visually and draw. And what I just did there is I measured how far out that part of the can goes compared to the width of the top of the can. And I just used my pencil, closed an eye, and measured it off. And now I'm just kind of indicating some main lines that I see because that's going to help me with my width, and it's going to help me set up that outline. So I'm pointing to that corner. And it's a little awkward for me to draw because I'm in a cramped area. I'm trying to draw flat underneath the camera. Normally, I'd be drawing at an angle on a board. Um, like I mentioned in earlier lesson plans, what could happen when you do this is you can get skewing. And skewing is when you elongate something so you make it longer, and that's because you're drawing flat. If you're not drawing something on the same plane as your body, you can skew it and make it a little bit longer. One thing to notice, I'm not afraid to acknowledge mistakes and take my eraser to those mistakes and make my corrections. Majority of the time, I like to make my corrections first, and then I erase my lines. But in this case, my lines are dark, and I can see some of those ghosts that are still there. And then we talked about finding your angles before you do your curves. So if I have a curve that I need to draw, I want to find the angle on both sides of that curve, find the angles first, and then put in the curve last. So now I have my outline. My outline is pretty much done. Uh, Always keep it light at first. The end product is going to be dark, but that's after you go through and refine your drawing and you clean up your lines. And right now, I'm looking at the can and I'm trying to sort out what are the main lines, what are the strongest wrinkles, and those are the ones that I'm going to draw first because they're going to help me out with some of the other ones. Um, what else? Oh yeah, the thing you can't see on camera. The whole time I'm drawing, I'm kind of moving my head side to side, and I'm doing that so when the light hits the metallic can, I can see the reflections or the light bouncing off some of these folds. If you just look at the can and you don't move your head, you're not going to see the shifts in the plane. But if you move your head kind of side to side, you'll start seeing how the light plays with the different shifts in the plane. And you get new planes every time there's a wrinkle. Um, One thing to be careful though, do not change your vertical alignment or the height of your head while you're looking at an object. Meaning, don't try to raise up in your seat and look down, or don't try to like crouch in your seat and find a lower angle. Keep the height of your angle the same. Just move side to side. As you can see, as I move farther and farther along, as I finalize some of my areas, I'm going to start darkening and cleaning up my lines. Again, cleaning up any of those corners and rounding them off. Sometimes when I put my pencil over it, I'm just trying to find an angle or a landmark. I'm not actually drawing anything. I'm just trying to use my eyes. So I put the pencil down to where I might think something is, and I look at it and I look at where my pencil is, and I kind of just make my adjustment. No one should have a circle for the top of their can. You guys are looking at it at an angle. The only time you're going to see a perfect circle of a can is if you're looking directly down at it. So you're always going to be looking at it at an angle. Keep that in mind. So the top of your can should be elliptical. It should not be a circle. And again, I'm going to reiterate this. Your eraser is a tool. Use it. It's not like a mark of weakness, like, oh, I did a really bad job drawing this, I have to erase everything. It's a tool. Make sure you guys are using all your tools that are available to you. One of the big things I run into in doing these demos, besides having to draw in an awkward body position, is I'm using a much softer pencil than I normally would so the camera can pick up the strokes. Normally I draw, when I lay out something, I'll lay it out extremely light. And then as I go through and finalize the illustration, that's when I'll go back over with a softer pencil or a darker medium, whatever it is that I might be doing. And then I clean it up, refine it, and do a finished product. Doing the entire drawing from start to finish with a very soft pencil making dark lines, it's a little bit more difficult. I find I use the eraser more. And again, just to keep in mind, I sped up this film 3.5 times faster than what I was drawing. So I'm taking a almost 50 minutes worth of drawing and knocking it down into, I believe, like 18 minutes. I did not look at the time codes on this. Again, I'm taking one last look at this, cleaning up my lines, erasing anything I don't like. And then when we talked about line variation briefly, but we really haven't discussed it, anything that I need to have, anything that needs to be visually more important or needs to stand out, I'll add a bit of a holding line to it. I'll make it a little bit thicker so it pops out more. Now I'm drawing a horizontal line. And it's really, really light. You probably can't see it on camera. And that horizontal line is so I can keep this in alignment. And what I'm drawing now is I'm drawing that can laying down on its side. And again, I always try to find the side that has the most crinkles in it. And you might think it's harder, but it's actually easier. The more stuff you have, the more visual landmarks you get, which makes finding things easier. But it's always easier to draw more detail than it is to try to draw like a relatively flat surface without any detail. especially when you're not rendering, meaning you're not shading it in. This is just strictly line art. So go for the side that has the most wrinkles. Go for the side that has the most information, because visually speaking, it's going to be a lot easier to draw it that way than it is to try to draw something that doesn't have a whole lot of reference points to look at. And you're going to notice when you draw the can on the side, it's really, really going to get distorted at the bottom and top of the can. You're seeing the top of the can and the bottom of the can at extreme angles. So you're really going to see a visual distortion on it. I'm going to make this point real fast. Make sure you observe what you're drawing. Don't draw what you think you saw. A lot of people, this is the bottom of your can is going to be really, really wonky. You're going to have some weird angles on it. A lot of people want to draw like a regular bottom of the can. They don't want to draw that distortion. Look at your lines. You're going to get some weird curves. This is something that you really, really need to work on your observational skills. And don't be afraid to make a correction. Don't be afraid to admit, like, ooh, I looked at that completely wrong. I got that angle completely messed up. Fix it and then erase the line that you made the mistake on. Don't sit there and fret that, like, oh, I drew something or I saw something incorrectly. That's fine. But just, go through, make your corrections, erase your mistakes, and then just kind of move on. I'm going to tell you, after doing this assignment for so many years, I can tell when someone did not look while they were drawing their can. Someone just put the can in front of themselves, glanced at it, and then just drew whatever was in their head. So please take your time. Please take your time while you guys are doing this. My goal was to get through this without drinking any water, but that's not happening. How this is working is I'm watching the video sped up, and I'm basically talking over me drawing. And when I do that, I forget that I'm actually being recorded, so I've reached for that water bottle one too many times. But my mouth is extraordinarily dry. My allergy pills. So again, that's that curve I'm talking about that's always on the top of the can. It's that part that sticks out. So, here's the can, and it's this part right here that sticks out. So you want to make sure that you're really drawing it. And when I was doing this, it's gonna be in reverse. I can't see this right now, but I wanted you guys to kind of see. I have no idea what angle, possibly this angle I was looking at. But I look for stuff like this. I'm looking for things like right over here in this curve that you should be able to see. I look for details like the tab, this little metal ring that goes on the outside. I'm always looking for that. The gutter on the inside, I'm always looking for that gutter on the inside. So, make sure you're working on your observational skills. I've seen too many of these to know when someone's faking it and when someone's actually putting a good effort forward. I'll admit, I've never done it this way, virtually, without being in the class. Because a lot of times I can walk around and I can tell people, hey, you need to draw bigger. You need to fix this line. Sometimes I can help them find an edge or a starting point, And that's the one disadvantage to doing this, is you guys don't get any physical help right there. So I want you guys to start noticing the amount of details that are in here. And I mentioned this in the past, so I'm going to reemphasize this. Do not connect your lines for wrinkles. Leave them open. If you start connecting all your lines, you're just going to make this look like an abstract shape. You're going to make it look kind of like a cubist drawing. Um, the look at my lines that I do for all the wrinkles and crinkles. Unless it's a very solid wrinkle and making a very solid shape, they're really not going to connect. And you'll notice as I go into this Canmore, I will darken and thicken certain lines up because they are the most visible, and I want them to have the most importance because I want you guys to see what I'm seeing. And the wrinkles that are slighter, they should be a little bit lighter. And the wrinkles that are really in there, that are casting shadows, which we're not drawing, we're not adding the shadows, you should really emphasize those wrinkles a lot. So see how that's coming down to forming an arrow? Like, none of those lines are touching each other though. They're just kind of pointing to an area. Let's see if I can see it or give you an example of one. So, when you look at them, where you have stuff kind of coming out in all directions, you have all these lines that kind of just point into that can, and you want to indicate that when you're drawing it. But you don't want them to have like solid triangles and stuff that you might see. You just kind of want to indicate it, right? So these are what we call implied lines or implied edges. And we're almost getting done to the video. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I've never ever done this before. And I'm kind of trying to figure things out in the fly with Adobe Premiere and recording this in 2 different sections, speeding up one section, keep another portion of the film regular speed. So yeah, I've never done this before. And we're just about done. So I'm going to end this video right now. This took me over 50 minutes. Granted, I was drawing at an awkward angle, but you guys need to put the time in. I can tell, you can tell, you're not going to fool anybody. Right, so that's the end of the video, and I will chat with you guys later.